persuasive speech. When we're hungry, we grab something to eat when we're out. When we're home, we make something to eat to nourish our bodies because we're hungry. If a woman is breastfeeding, they need to feed their infants. When they're out, they need to feed their babies in public and breastfeed in public. Breastfeeding is a natural and beautiful thing to do with your baby. So why in California in 2014 are women still made to feel ashamed to breastfeed in public? That is what we're going to look at today. Today we will be discussing how it is perfectly legal and a God-given right to breastfeed, and how breastfeeding in public is not shameful. We'll look at two main points today. We will look at why women choose to breastfeed, the benefits to breastfeeding, and their right to breastfeed in public. Then we will look at how our laws protect our breastfeeding woman and how it should not be considered shameful to feed your infant in public. Let's look at why women choose to breastfeed. Then we will discuss the laws on how they protect women who breastfeed and how our attitudes can change towards breastfeeding. The word ignorance in the Webster's Dictionary means a lacking of knowledge or information. Ignorance is not a bad word. It just means we need to become informative of why people do the things they do. When someone knows why someone does something, when we're knowledgeable of that, then we can change our attitude and our behaviors towards that behavior, such as breastfeeding. So let's look at why women choose to breastfeed. One, it's less expensive. It's about $1,500 a year for formula. Two, it's far easier. No mixing, no warming up. And three, there's proven health benefits such as if you breastfeed your infant will have a lower risk of eczema, diabetes, and allergies. According to a health article in 2005, it states, human milk or breast milk is uniquely engineered for human infants and is the biologically natural way to feed their infants. What that means is it is completely natural to breastfeed your infant. Women's bodies are chemically engineered to breastfeed. So why are women still looked down upon while breastfeeding in public? Some people will say that breastfeeding, no matter what it is unnatural and disgusting and not polite. But I say to those men and women, why is it acceptable to dress in skimpy clothes, wear thongs at the beach, see ads in the newspapers and magazines of women in lingerie or scantily dressed clothing, and why is that acceptable and there's no controversy versus women who choose to breastfeed? Those things are acceptable, but yet breastfeeding isn't. Let's look at why the law are written and how they're written to protect the women here in California where the law is written. Here the California state law states, 43.3, notwithstanding any other provision of a law, a mother may breastfeed her child in any location, public or private. She cannot be asked to leave, she cannot be harassed, she cannot be arrested to breastfeed her infant. It is her legal right to breastfeed her infant in public. What does that tell us? It tells us that we need to remember that mothers who breastfeed are following the law and exercising their right to breastfeed. So when we think of that, we need to change our attitude as well towards breastfeeding. What that means is we need to look at the way we view breastfeeding. I remember a long time ago when I went with my daughter to Disneyland, there was a woman who was breastfeeding there. That woman, she was breastfeeding her child and she was covered up, and I said to her, I thought it was really great that she was breastfeeding. We were talking, and she said to me that she thanked me and said thank you because I've received a lot of dirty looks today. And I told her that I was sorry that that had happened to her, and she said it didn't matter because she was doing what was best for her baby. And that rung out of my head because I thought to myself, isn't that what we all want? We want what's best for our children. So she was just choosing to do what's best for her infant. So next time we see somebody who's breastfeeding, let's not look at them as if they're committing a crime. Let's look at them as if they're just choosing to do what's best for their children. Now, at this point, is there anybody who would like to ask a question?
Is that law is in the state of California?
Yes, that law is only in the state of California. Unfortunately, I cannot speak for other states, but I can tell you there are many states who do not have laws in place to protect breastfeeding mothers. But thank you for that. That's a great question. So let's look at why we choose to breastfeed our babies. We've learned that why they choose to breastfeed. We've learned about the breastfeeding laws in California. We've learned that breastfeeding women have a right to breastfeed anywhere, anytime, and in any location. And we as a society need to change our attitudes towards breastfeeding. California, according to the Center for Disease Control Prevention, 91.6% of women choose to breastfeed their infants in the hospital. What that means, it's more than likely that you will see a woman who's breastfeeding out in public. Remember, their bodies are uniquely, has the chemistry to breastfeed their infants. It's natural and it's nourishing to their baby. They're feeding their infant because their child is hungry, and they're doing what's best for them. And after all, isn't that what every mother wants for their children, to give them the best they can? And I leave you today with a form that will discuss the benefits, the breastfeeding in public, how you can breastfeed in public, and I leave you today with some resources. Thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate you being here today.